Oh my gosh, I wasn't ready, but I am ready now. I had to rapidly scroll up to the start of the run sheet to see what we're actually welcoming people to. It's been a while. This is Australian Transformers Weekly. We're bringing you Transformers news from around the world and across Australia. Oh, this is episode 253. It's taken us a while to do 3 episodes since episode 250 last year. I have actually jokingly named the stream Australian Transformers Weekly-ish this week. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed. We are recording live on Friday, April 1st, 2022. Having looked through the run sheet, I'm fairly sure we don't have any April Fool's jokes in here. I'm pretty sure that all of the news is genuine. There was a rather good April Fool's gag perpetrated on the community today that I copped a little bit of a hate for retweeting earlier, but we'll talk about that later. In this episode, we will be discussing new figures that are on the way and looking at my desk already here, and the BotBots trailer. In fact, not the BotBots trailer, but the BotBots cartoon is here. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about tiny robots in disguise that are neither good nor evil, and see how that goes. All of that is coming up after this. Goodness me, it has been a while, hasn't it? How are you doing there, Brad?
I am very good, Jason. It has been some time. I was nearly going to try and trip you up in the run sheet and call it Transformers Monthly, but
well, so this is the thing. This is the joke that we often made when we renamed the podcast around episode 100 to Australian Transformers Weekly. It was a joking and loving reference to the long-running Australian women's magazine, Australian Women's Weekly, which ironically is published monthly. So, we're actually living up to our namesake, aren't we?
Full circle.
Yeah, everything goes full circle. So we have this section on the run sheet that says, what are the notable things that have happened this week? Brad, what's happened during summer? It's been such a long time since we've done an episode of the podcast. Like what's been happening in the last couple of months to you?
Oh, have we even had a summer? We haven't had a hot day, a lot of rain, a lot of mosquitoes, which has cancelled a lot of camping trips. Yeah, it's a very quiet summer.
I think as far as summer goes, it's been I was gone for a month of it because I went to the UK for Christmas. We have done episodes since that trip, but so I missed the height of summer, I think, and so all I've caught is sort of like the tail end as the temperature comes down out of the 30s. Sydney's been very mild and very wet. So less so Sydney, but northern New South Wales has copped a lot of floods in the recent times in the last month or so. So has Queensland. So the club didn't do Oz Comic Con Brisbane last weekend. It was a bit hard to justify putting resources together to actually put a stand together when so many people are actually just trying to survive and keep their stuff together. Lismore's actually gone back under floodwaters this
again,
week in northern New South Wales, which is even worse. The rains did hit Sydney as well. It's a little bit inside baseball, but I live in an apartment block. My apartment is off the ground level, which is nice. But
for you,
my storage cage, it's nice for me. I can watch everything wash past in the street. My storage cage is not off ground level. In fact, my storage cage in my car park, I don't even drive, but I have a storage cage. The storage cage is basically at the arse end of the car park. So if water floods into the car park from somewhere, if enough water floods in, my storage cage will be the first to go because it's right. Everything will flood down, and boom, into my storage cage and then start washing around. So I spent a little bit of time in my storage cage, basically making sure that I didn't have cardboard on the ground. So everything that's touching the ground in my storage cage is either metal shelves or plastic tubs now. And in the process, I actually found that there's been so much water in the air, and there's so much humidity that some of the boxes in my storage cage actually, like, they were damp. There'd been I'm talking like boxes that are a meter off the ground. They were just damp. You could touch them and they would sort of wobble and stuff. So I've embarked on a little bit of a project to update my storage cage with plastic tubs instead of cardboard, because I have a lot of things in there. Like I've got the empty boxes for some of the things that are on the shelves behind me. I've got masterpiece boxes and stuff in there. Like, we keep seeing these cautionary tales of, like, oh, I had all my masterpiece boxes in storage and, the moths got into them or something like that. Well, at this point, I don't even need the storage cage to flood, and I'm a little bit concerned. So I did actually find some water had been leaking in from the wall of the car park. So there was a little bit of a puddle in the storage cage already, but it wasn't near anything. So I took some actions to remedy that. It was I've spoken to other people around New South Wales and something in Queensland as well. There was I did a little favor for a guy from the Masters of the Universe community who he lost everything in the floods in Lismore, and I had some Masters of the Universe stuff in stock because I import some things for other members, and the Masters of the Universe, I sold some of the stuff to him at cost price because he lost everything in the flood, and he was just like, I will take one of everything. It was it's tragedy. It's really tragic. We hear about this stuff all the time. We hear about flood damage and stuff like that, but it really brings it home when this stuff happens, basically on your doorstep.
From fire to floods in just a year, and it's sort of you often joke and that if your house caught on fire, what was that one figure you're going to grab and take with you? But you never really sort of think much further to having to redo a collection after. Yeah. Like, I think a lot of people would be, well, I had the collection, I've got photos, and that's the cost to start a collection again, especially if Masterpiece and some of those older figures, G1, that sort of stuff, trying to buy that stuff again would be a nightmare. And that's on top of rebuilding houses and everything else. So,
I know.
Yeah.
We have a couple of people saying hi on the live comments on the YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, everyone. I'm just going to put David Patrol's comment up there. Happy to be here. Much more interesting than the showdown tonight. What is the showdown? Is this
someone's
something
watching football?
Oh, this is a sports ball reference. I'm just going to take that off the screen then. That's all right.
I assume anyway.
I mean, it dates the stream rather badly when we have a reference to a sporting match up there and people are watching it a few months later. Like, what was going on that night? I don't know. But yeah, no, there we go. But yeah, thank you for watching, folks. And it's always nice to have some live viewer interactions as well. And hello, Michael, and hello, Manny, as well.
Hello.
There's a couple of people are saying hi, but we don't have their ID because they haven't pressed the button on StreamYard to tell us who they are. And David does clarify it's Crows versus Cows. So that's an AFL.
Yeah.
It's an AFL game, which I think you and I are more comfortable with than any NRL stuff.
If Max was here, he'd be fully behind that. I'd feel.
Yeah, so we did actually say in the promo stuff for the stream tonight, Max will be joining us. Max has had a bit of an emergency. His dog is very sick, so he can't be here tonight. So it is just Brad and I. You've got a 2-up show instead. Without any further ado, I think maybe we should talk about some other stuff that's been going on as well. I've attended an event this last week or so. It was less about the club and just more about selling some toys, actually, because I import a bunch of toys for people, and mainly for like TCCA members, and I do have a bit of stock that's left over. And I used to do this last year. I'd take a bit of stock to toy fairs and the like to sell, but we've been in lockdown and all sorts of things have been going on. But I managed to do a little bit of a sales event this last weekend, sell off some stuff that had been hanging around for a while, and managed to get some legacy stuff out to people as well, which Legacy, of course, being the hot new Transformers line. You can see in the photo here that there's plenty of Blaster. It's the first time this year that anyone has been able to say that there's plenty of Blaster figures. The brand new Bulkhead Voyager. You can see just over on the left of the pic, there's the core Skywarp, Iguanus, and Hot Rod, which I can't really talk to because I haven't opened those. There's a few other things hanging around on the desk there as well. Was really good. I should mention the event I went to was actually it was an event out in Penrith in Sydney called CollectorCon. I was there with our good friend Clinton Hahn, who helps me transport a lot of stuff around to and from these events. I don't drive, so as I mentioned, I don't drive.
You did mention earlier that you don't have a car, so it's...
I mean, it's not that I don't have a car; I don't have a license. It's also that I don't have a car. So, but yeah. If
anyone's got a Photoshop, we need your face on Steve Buscemi's robot from Age of Extinction, just junkyard, whatever it's called, carting bots around.
No, why would you do that? Why would you put that challenge out to people? No one should do that. Everyone should do that. The event was CollectorCon. It's a nice little family fun day that happens out in Penrith in Sydney. A lot of toy fairs and sales and stuff happen out in the western suburbs. I don't live in the western suburbs of Sydney. I live in the east. I live near the city, near the airport, and I actually live so close to the airport now. I can walk to the airport and get on a flight and land in Melbourne, and it's faster than the train ride to Penrith.
You do realise you're not supposed to climb the fence.
Don't add technicalities into that, Penrith is a really long way out, but it's always been worth making the trip. CollectorCon's a lovely time. It's a really fun day, and you see this because I know you've done Supernova events with us as well. Sunday is traditionally family day at Supernova, so a lot of people bring in their young kids and stuff, and that's pretty much what you see all day at CollectorCon. It is a Sunday event as well, and so people come in with their kids. There's lots of people pushing prams. They've got young kids hanging around. It's just a lot of fun, and everyone's happy and friendly, and especially this week, everyone was just really happy to be there because it's the first CollectorCon that had happened in Sydney in about a year. It was lovely fun. It was good. Nice. Good to talk to people about Transformers, what they like. A few people came to me sort of asking for things that I didn't have, so I sort of gave them a few pointers as to where to find them, where to get them. Sometimes those pointers were just to other stores that were around the place as well. There are a few of us selling Transformers, but yeah, it was a good time all around. I think also at the same time, Simon and I'm not sure if it was Chris or Alan were in Melbourne at comixpo. Comixpo has been an event that we've been attending for a few years when it's on. Obviously with the COVID pandemic and things going on the last couple of years, a lot of these things haven't taken place. So it's very much a return to normalcy for a lot of these events. And it's good to see it. It's a bit unfortunate timing with Oz Comic Con in Brisbane, but yeah, there we go.
I think we ended up doing free comic expos before the lockdown started. So
yeah,
good to get back there.
Yeah, I think it was 3 or so of them. It's a nice little event. It's been really good. Oz Comic Con when I cancelled this for Oz Comic Con last week, they did say that there's another Oz Comic Con coming up in Brisbane in September. So we are looking at fielding a team for that. So that should be good. It'll be a more full-fledged and full scale Oz Comic Con later in the year.
Yeah, now COVID's over, we can get back to it.
Oh, COVID's not really over, but we'll see how that goes.
What COVID?
Yes.
Anyway,
all right. Let's get on to talking about some news, shall we? We're going to move swiftly on and get to the news. Straight into news.
Hasbro news.
That will take us into some news.
What news comes from via yonder?
Hello, bots.
Little bit. Well, so a few bots. I'll talk quickly about the new releases that have hit us in the last well, the last few weeks actually, last few weeks, locally, I feel like locally we've seen a new wave of Studio Series come along because I think Studio Series Sideswipe has turned up on store shelves.
Seen him.
And Studio Series Core Spike has also hit local retail. There's a lot of people freaking out about not being able to find Spike. There's a fairly good reason for it. He is packed in an assorted box with Ravage and Soundwave. So Ravage and Soundwave already got released earlier this year. And what they've done is, so they came out 4 to a box. So 4 and 4. So there's always 8 things to a box for cores. So as Spike has come out now, Spike has come out 4 to a box, and there's also two Shockwaves and 2 Ravages. I think I said Soundwave. 2 Shockwaves and 2 Ravages in the box with him. So there's less core Spikes out there than there are Shockwave and Ravage. So if you go to a store and you see 1 or 2, it means a couple of them have gone already. They've been picked up off the shelf. But what we have seen is they are hitting Target shelves around the country. But Target and Kmart and all these national retailers, they can't just magically make stock appear at the same time around the country. They need to ship it out from their distribution centers. They need to unload boxes. They need to unpack things. They need to make space on the shelves. So we've seen it appear in Queensland. We've seen it appear in Tasmania. We haven't seen it in New South Wales yet, although I think a couple of regional Targets have got it. Be patient. Like, everyone was really freaking out about Studio Series Nor last year, and he's shell forming everywhere now. You can't swing a cat for running into a Sharkticon. So I think be patient with things that we know are coming to the shelves in Australia. Like, they will hit the shelves eventually. They'll have wider distribution, but in the early days, it just takes a little bit of time for them to get out into all stores.
Dare I call you out?
You can call me out.
Every time I've got a new acquisition or something, it's from my local Target store, and you say Target doesn't exist. Yet here you are.
Oh no, that's because your local Target store is a figment of your imagination. No, Target still exists. It's weird that some things are going to Target only because so many Target stores in Australia got converted to Kmart, sort of the more successful in-house brand for Wesfarmers. But no, it definitely still exists. If anything, the lower number of Target stores actually kind of makes it more likely that you'll find stock in them when you go to them, because stock isn't spread around 10 stores anymore. There's only one servicing like an entire quarter of the city.
Right over there.
Exactly.
Which is weird because not Transformer related, but other Mattel figures, Target exclusives being released in the States, yet here they're going to Big W, Maya, and Toy World. So that's the thing. You got to remember, Target here is not Target there. It's literally a contract that says you can use the name Target in Australia. I'm pretty sure Target Australia has actually moved its branding a little bit away from Target in the US. Like, of course, the logo is still there, but the font and the wording that they use is quite different now. And of course, Target these days in Australia is actually quite different than it was back in the 80s as well. Like the type of clothing and the value for money proposition is a little bit different. That kind of stuff's a little bit like I said earlier, I think things are a little bit inside baseball when you're talking about toys that they shop in from Hasbro and just put on the shelves. It's a little bit different. But Target is not the shop that it once was in Australia, unfortunately. I will also, so couple of comments in the chat. I did call out someone for not pressing the StreamYard button earlier, and Scott Bourne said that he's done it. So thank you, Scott. And he does say he's got FOMO, and that's definitely a thing. As far as people getting FOMO about new releases and where to get things and stuff, like I've seen, I think I saw in, so for people who aren't actually in the Facebook group, and why not? So we maintain 2 Facebook groups. There's a discussion group and there's a sales group. And I'm pretty sure I saw on the same day someone posted, "Oh my goodness, I found Studio Series 86 Core Spike." I think this might be the first sighting in Australia and stuff in the discussion group. And then immediately someone went into the sales group and just said, "I can't find Core Spike at any of my local stores. Can someone please buy one and send it to me?" It's like, well,
It's just got to be a little bit patient.
Yeah, just wait.
It'll turn out like in 6 months' time, we'll all just be going, "Oh God, why doesn't someone buy all the core spikes?" Remember, look, I'm gonna lead myself into a trap here, but remember the buzzworthy Bumblebee set from last year that everyone was concerned wouldn't come to Australia, and now we can't get rid of it. It's just clogging store shelves in Kmart everywhere, and it's turned up in new stores. I think it's turned up in Toy World and stuff like that in the last month or so as well. But also, we were concerned about that one not coming to Australia, and it did. But there was also another buzzworthy Bumblebee release that did not. So, I don't like making fun of people for having FOMO, but FOMO is a thing. But you sort of got to keep an eye on, I think so. Hasbro does list what's coming to Australia and what's not. I'm going to work on getting some information for us direct from Hasbro, but you can definitely look at the Ozformers Facebook page, and when new products are announced, Griffin usually gets an answer from Hasbro, yes or no, is it coming here. You can use that information to figure out if you should import it or start looking around for it or not. So, I guess long story short, I will make fun of people for having FOMO when I know that something is definitely going to come here. Like legacy figures are definitely going to come here. Like I've just imported Legacy Wave 1. It's Wave 1. We know that Wave 1 shell forms for the next 3 years. Like these figures are going to be around everywhere. Core Spike is probably going to be around everywhere as well. We'll see what happens. Interesting comments from the chat. Not in Adelaide. I think this is regarding Target. Big W is the place to go to get figures. Kmart had bugger all today. Kmart often does. I mean, Kmart would have had plenty of those core Bumblebees, but yeah. So there's also Big W. Big W gets bigger allocations and supporting promos for releases. It's true for some things.
That's just the myth of the distribution, because
it's the nature of retail as well.
Nothing. Yeah,
your Big W has nothing. My Big W, I don't think I even have a Big W store. There's not really one near me. It's there's I actually have to travel quite a way to get to a Big W store. But yeah. Scott Bourne says here in Northern Territory, when months behind the eastern southern states shelf appearances, great to see everyone getting the figures. Like it's true, but it's also not. Like there's like every figure's different. Every release is different. Everything goes through distribution channels differently. Like I have seen things turn up in Darwin in the last year, and I'm like, mate, that thing turned up in Darwin before the rest of the country, and everyone in Darwin is just like, yes, we never get anything first. Here, we're just going to savor this, and then next week is like we never get anything.
But then you go the other way too. 5 years ago, it was on me Facebook memories the other day. Out in Broken Hill, and they were getting the Combiner Wars Dinobots and Volcanus out there. They were parts of probably 6-8 months after everyone else had started seeing them in the cities.
So did you say it was Toymate?
No, Big W.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
W.
So Toymate stores seem to have purchased a bunch of old stock from Hasbro. So like Power of the Primes Voyagers returning to the shelves.
Power of the Primes,
in
not
Toymate. Yeah, that's what I thought you might have meant. But it's interesting that it's because that's been happening in Toymate. But that's weird to turn up in Big W. But yeah, there we go. There's a few other supporting comments for Big W. Manny says my Big W always has tons of stock, and my Kmart has like 50 core Bumblebees, and that's it. That's also often how these things go. Look, I think it's worth mentioning. So we've spent a bit of time talking about what's come out locally. It's worth talking about what's come out overseas, because we've shown a photo of the things that have come out overseas that I've imported. So it is worth calling them out specifically. So Legacy Cores are out overseas. Legacy Voyagers are out overseas. You can see them there. Legacy Deluxes are out overseas, and I'm gonna take the screen share out because lest I be accused of something later in the podcast, because I will fess up to something later in the podcast, actually quite soon. I just want to point out I do have Legacy Deluxes here. So this is Skids. I'll just put him in front of the camera there. So the Legacy Deluxes, the retail boxes and stuff, they are here. They have come in. I've been a little bit lax in getting these out to people because I've been quite busy this week. But they are definitely here. Legacy Leaders just got released in Asia today. So Legacy Wave 1 Leaders are Laser Optimus Prime, which is a redeco and a retool of Earthrise Optimus Prime into his sort of laser G2 form with the needle nose truck. And there's also Wave 1 Legacy leader Galvatron, who is a repack of the Kingdom Galvatron, but he doesn't have the shitty battle damage paint anymore. So if the paint job on Kingdom Galvatron is not your thing, you might be up for a new Galvatron. We'll, see what you think. Again, I'm just gonna flash a box up here as well as proof that it's really here. Buzzworthy Bumblebee Autobot Silverstreak, the blue and silver Datsun repaint. He is also out overseas, and he's also in my living room as well. And there's been a couple of Masterpiece releases as well. Masterpiece Nightbird and Masterpiece Crosscut. And if I put this, if I put the screen back up there, you can actually see Crosscut sitting on the table there behind Bulkhead as well. So yes, I have been bringing in some of these figures, and I think it's without really any further ado, I think it's probably about time that we talk about this lot of figures. I've got my screen share up showing Legacy's Wave 1 Deluxes, which, as we've said, they're out here. They're not out here. They're out in my living room. They're literally out in the other part of my house, but they're not out in Australia yet. So it's worth pointing out, Hasbro has said that Legacy will probably see a mid-year release here, and vendors that get their stock from Hasbro Australia have been saying that June or July are their expected release dates, and some are saying August. I think they might be hedging their bets. I do want to confirm with Hasbro what the deal with the release dates is and see what's coming when. So this is a photo that I actually took of the Legacy Deluxes about a month ago. In fact, it was a short time after our last podcast, and it's been so long between podcasts that we haven't actually had a chance to chat about these guys. I did a slightly naughty thing, and I actually purchased the factory leaked versions of these guys. No. So I am a bit naughty. I'm on the same level as I'm not on the same level as Prime versus Prime. Let's not say that. So these guys here, they are actually they arrived in my place, I think early March, maybe even late February. I'd say early March actually. I really like them. I really like them as far as a full wave release goes. It's been a while since I've been interested in all of the characters in a wave. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm interested in all of them, but I'm interested in it because it's the first wave of a new line. So I've picked them all up for a look. My opinion on my favorite fluctuates from point to point, from time to time. Let's sort of go left to right and talk a little bit about them. So first up is Kickback. We do know that there will be another Insecticon later in the year. And there should be a third Insecticon probably early next year. I assume Hasbro has said that they're not going to leave sets unfinished where characters are meant to be out together. So Kickback is really nice. He's very reminiscent of his G1, his G1 bot, in that to transform him, you basically just knock him over. There's a couple of little things that you do to his arms to sort of give him an insect mode, and it took me a really long time to realize there was actually a guard on his back to cover his face in insect mode, which is a nice little touch. He comes with a cool little Tommy gun, and his insect wings are interesting. They're clear plastic, which the clear plastic really divides people in terms of its durability, but it is extremely solid clear plastic, I should point out. And it actually features sort of an insect wing-like texture on the wings. So it's very different to G1, where Insecticons had the chrome wings and very sort of machine-like metallic wings. So it's a little bit of a stylistic change for Kickback, but he's got very G1 style proportions there. He's got the clear yellow on his chest. Doesn't open. There is a pin that you can see at the bottom of it. In fact, sorry, if I go along to one of the next photos there, that's a nicer pick of Kickback up close there. You can see there's a pin at the bottom of that yellow part in the chest that sort of looks like it should open, but it doesn't. You can see, I don't know if you can see my mouse pointer here. There's a yellow tab here. So this is like it's held in place here, and it's really not clear to me why this pin is even here.
You need a bigger screwdriver. Just
yeah. Maybe
twist.
Maybe you got to really push it. It's same tab as on the other side, so like unlocking that chest piece if you wanted to flip it up is really quite difficult. This angle also lets you see just how thick the clear plastic on the wings is there as well. Like it's extremely solid. It's not really doing anything there.
It's similar to what we got before for the last one, the Legends one from Power the Primes, was it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the Legends ones they came out across the Prime Wars trilogy. Yeah. The antenna is.
Wings.
Yeah. That's right. There were some translucent wings on them. I think they were purple on that one, weren't they? I can't quite remember. The antenna on the head, they're rubber. So that's a little bit of a different material to be used on Transformers as well, but it means they can sort of like flop around and move around a bit. It's quite cool. And yeah, I really like him. Like he can do some really nice poses. This is the thing with these guys. There's all the modern articulation, but a very G1 look to them as well. So yeah, very happy. I think Kickback, despite his transformation being a little bit shit, I think Kickback is actually my favorite. Like I said, you knock him over and like you can see here, like you flip his arm around in half, and you've sort of got his insect mode. But whatever, like it's no worse than the G1 figure. So yeah.
Well, again, we've talked before about taking that G1 figure and just articulating it. Unless you have open up panels on arms for wrists to fold into and all that sort of stuff, the transformation is going to be pretty low anyway with most of them.
That's true. It's true. Modern retail Transformers do get they can get a little bit complicated on their transformations, but yeah, I mean they are still kids' toys age 6 or 8 plus. Let's have a look at Skids. Skids copped a lot of criticism when he was initially revealed. A lot of people think he was too boxy. A lot of people complained about it. He's fantastic. I know.
He looks great.
Yeah, he really does look great. I've taken these photos in my light box too. So I'm also enjoying showing off what I can do in my light box these days. So Skids comes with 3 weapons. Comes with an Energon axe, which is the translucent thing you can see. I was going to say you can see him holding here, but it's not. He's not actually holding it. It's actually attached to his gun. I didn't notice that one. Is he
blast effect?
Oh no, he is holding it. The handle sort of sticks out from the axe and goes into his hand. That's right. Yeah, interesting. And yeah, so the weapons combine and do stuff. Skids has very G1 accurate guns. I like the fact that they actually have given us 3 weapons with him. They didn't have to give us 3. They could have just done 2, but they've done 3. And those, like, he's not hollow. He's a really solid little character. So yeah, very happy with him. The first Stunticon is also here. That's Dragstrip. So Dragstrip, really nice yellow racer. Looks fantastic. Very nicely articulated as well. Considering he is a combiner limb, he's got none of those He's got none of those compromises that you would expect from a combiner limb. Like, with combiner wars, we saw every figure had a giant combiner port that would fly out from the chest. So he doesn't have that. We're gonna talk a little bit about how he combines with things later on. But you can also see drag strip ships with 2 guns as well. And you can't quite make it out here, but you can see just a little bit there. Those guns are painted as well. So Hasbro's actually applied some paint applications to his gun, which I thought was quite good as well. And last,
you said earlier that
last up,
they're going to fill out the line of characters, matching characters. So obviously we're going to have five more of the Stunticons. And you said he's got a connector port.
There'll be 4 more. There'll be 5 all up.
Oh yeah, 5 all up. Yeah.
So we are getting Menasor. We know we're getting Menasor, and if you didn't know that we were getting Menasor when they started doing Stunticons, there is a little logo on the box that says Menasor 1 of 5 on Dragstrip. However, Hasbro hasn't actually shown us what Menasor looks like yet, which is, maybe they want to do that pretty soon, given that this thing is now out on the shelves. Would
there be? My voice is going. Would there be so much of a fan outrage if we just got the 5-pack or got the 5 figures at alt modes, Stunticons, robot modes, and they didn't combine? Or must they combine?
I think there would be in a line in a line that's meant to be sort of harking back to the G1 stuff. I reckon if you do any of the combiner teams in a non-combining form, I think people will probably crucify you. Very quickly on screen is the final Wave 1 Deluxe Prime RC. She's very different to the others. She's very light. Very much a reimagining of how Transformers Prime RC would look if she was created in a G1 universe. We'll get to that with Bulkhead soon as well. Also a Transformers Prime character. Don't dislike her, but I do find that her figure is quite small and fiddly, and part of it was really confusing. I had 2 people on the same day pick this up and just go, nah, it's misassembled. I'm going to flip this part around and fix it up. And so obviously by the end of the day, it had been flipped back, and we were none the wiser as to what was actually the deal with being able to transform it. We couldn't really figure out how to transform it either. This is the thing about getting leaked figures. There's no instruction sheets. A lot transforming Prime RC actually really confused the shit out of me. I just sort of sit there and just go, she's Prime RC, she looks pretty. I don't really care beyond that. But yeah, no, I found that her transformation was a little bit difficult. Having gotten the retail release now, I find that, and this kind of goes to the question of what these factory leaks and stuff are. I found that the retail releases of all of these bots, they feel better. They have better tolerances. Some of them have little like notches in where pieces turn around and they now fit a little bit better. And I was speaking with Dr. Lockdown the other day, and he was transforming Prime RC, and he said, she fits together and tabs together so much better than the factory leaked version. And that does sort of go to one of the theories about the factory leaks and how people, YouTubers like Prime versus Prime and Chefitron get access to all these figures. Turns out they get them from the same guy that I bought these from, and the question of how people are getting these from the factory so soon, I think kind of is answered by the fact that the tolerances on all of these are much better on the retail versions than they were on the factory leaked versions, which is that they're probably factory rejects, which would mean that these are not these figures as I received them when I purchased the things, knowing that they're factory leaks. They're probably not completely indicative of what you would expect to buy when you get it in the store. Like the look and feel is the look is there, but the feel is probably a little bit off. Like things are a little bit fiddlier than they should be. Things might not tab in properly, and that's definitely been my experience. There's things that just feel maybe a little bit loose on these figures. Drag strip also felt quite different in hand coming out of the retail box. So that I say that it's it's neither here nor there anyway, really. I think it's just sort of it's a matter of opinion as to how these guys are getting out of the factory, because the guys who are taking them out of the factory are certainly not going to tell us. So my belief is that they're probably coming off a factory recheck pile. We'll see. We'll see whether or not history bears that out. So that's Legacy Wave 1's deluxes. The other guys, and these are actually retail releases, as you saw the boxes in the photo earlier. Kingdom Blaster got repacked in Wave 1 of Legacy, which is a good thing, because practically nobody who wanted Kingdom Blaster really got a chance to get Kingdom Blaster when the final wave of Kingdom was coming out earlier this year. So there's tons of Blaster around everywhere now. If you want a Blaster, you can definitely get Blaster. He is exactly the same figure. There's no paint job differences or anything like that. He's also, and he's here in my hand on my desk as well, he's also really good. He's a really, really nice Blaster figure. It's hard to be too positive, I guess, about the guy. He's really well put together. He also does come with a little cassette, blue one, so it'd be eject. There's an interesting choice that the cassettes are translucent in this line, so they kind of match up with the Energon weapons coming in for the next. The Energon weapons coming in for the next wave with the legacy gimmicks, but I don't really mind. He's a well made eject. He's better than the other cassettes that we've had on the Decepticon side so far. And you can also see in that photo the more controversial of the legacy Voyagers, and also in my hand here as well. If you can see on the tiny 5 pixels that makes my my thumbnail on the side of the video screen is Bulkhead as well. So Bulkhead, coming from the Transformers Prime universe, he's an armored personnel carrier. Has been a little bit controversial because he doesn't really line up with his Transformers Prime look and feel, which was a much sort of more rounded and I think a little bit more futuristic. A little bit more futuristic alt mode. This is very much a sort of a throwback. It's more of a blocky design, as if Bulkhead existed in G1, which is kind of what they're doing with Legacy on the whole. They're trying to bring characters in from across different Transformers continuities, but they're going to modern G1ify them. And we've seen that with Prime RC, so we can see it with Bulkhead. Bulkhead looks more like a G1 version of Bulkhead, but he retains his head design from Transformers Prime, so it's very obvious that he's the character that we love from that series. I don't really have too much of a problem with it. I think it's pretty cool. He's much better looking in person than he ever was in any of the online leaks. Not even the online leaks, but Hasbro's own shots of this figure when it came out. Like, people looked at it and they were just like, I don't want that. But people have looked at this guy in hand, and I had him on the table next to his packaged one the other day, and a couple of people came along and picked it up and went, yeah, I'll take that. The finished product looks much better than any of the Hasbro promos and any of the leaks ever did. So I think he comes off really nicely. You can see the wrecking ball on his fist. Yep. It's actually really interesting because it's made of a few pieces. There's a hinge in it, and it actually opens up and surrounds his fist rather than just sort of being a glove that fits over it that you'll lose. That is not coming off there because it's inserted into the 5mm port in his fist and enclosed around the fist because there's a hinge in it. That's something that they didn't even need to do, but they've done it. So I really appreciate the attention to detail on things like that.
Yeah, it's weird. The Transformers Prime Bulkhead looked nothing like the animated Bulkhead. That here we have a third incarnation of the character, and people are losing their shit over it. Like,
yes, how unusual for Transformers fans to lose their shit over something. Yeah. Manny says Blaster is going to look amazing with Netflix Soundwave. Very true. I should actually crack open Netflix Soundwave. He's sitting under my desk in my to open pile, and I'm if I'm not too tired once we finish this, because we do record on a Friday night. If I'm not too tired once I finish this, I am going to crack them open and put them side by side and see if I can get some nice photos of them together.
But the biggest question is, does he turn into a kitchen for Grimlock?
No, a kitchen. No, he does not.
Oh well. I'll stick to the Combiner Wars one.
he does have a nice Oh, you mean like his base mode kind of thing? That the Combiner Wars one had. Yeah.
My first kitchen for Grimlock.
Yeah, that was the Titans Return leader, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was he Power of the Primes? Yeah. The big guys. Yeah, they had base modes. You could probably fan mode something that looks like a base. Like he has the sort of advantage of being mostly symmetrical. So like, rather than trying to like put things in, like, I think thinking about it, like most Transformers are probably mostly symmetrical anyway. But like you could certainly like lay things out and unfold panels, and you could definitely fan mode a thing. I don't know if it would really count as much of a kitchen, but you can do whatever you want with your toys. It's all right. So that is a look at the legacy, guys. I'm just gonna say there's a comment here saying, sorry guys, odd question, but do either of you know who the other leader class for Legacy Wave 2 is along with Blitzwing yet? You know what? That's a very interesting question. I'm going to try to answer it by looking at. So I've got a list of information that shows me things that are coming up, but I may not necessarily have an answer for that. I don't know. So
sure, it's an Autobot of some description.
I don't think it actually is one. So I think Blitzwing might be a solid. So leaders, we mentioned earlier. I'm sorry, it's a bit inside baseball. Like I said, leaders are packed two to a shipping box. It's a very low number, and part of the thing that they do with these is like they interlock the boxes. So with War for Cybertron, we had the left edge of the box or the right edge of the box, depending on which angle you're looking at it. Was angled, and that angle matched the other one, so you could sort of merge them together in the box. They do that on Legacy with the top of the boxes, so that it could be packed a little bit differently than we're used to, in that they'll be packed on their side, but they still interlock. So there's 2 per box, and I have a list of things that are coming out this year, and I've got Optimus Prime and Galvatron for April. That's just come out now, so they've just been released today. In fact, that makes sense because today is the 1st of April. Geez, we're 3 months into 2022 already. Now on my list, I only have Blitzwing for July, so I think Blitzwing's probably going to be a popular enough character that they're happy to just ship Blitzwing instead of packing him 1-to-1 with something else. And I also have. And I don't know if people know about this. I'm sure people know about this. Dragon Megatron for October 2022. Now, we definitely haven't really seen what Dragon Megatron it looks like in this incarnation. But like we've seen Dragon Megatron in other forms, so like it'll be we can sort of guess at what it will be. Repaying
the dragon from the last night.
Oh god, that would be a bit of a problem, wouldn't it? So when you said possibly a surprise, like I think the surprise is going to be that there isn't one that goes along with Blitzwing. I think Blitzwing's popular enough and he's generated enough buzz in the community that I think you'll find that Blitzwing will be the only leader that gets released in July, probably on his own.
And it means there'll probably be a lot of it on shelves if it's the only one as well.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean. Like, I think there's enough people looking forward to Blitzwing that they'll be okay with him shipping on his own. I mean, someone bought all those Astro trains. We don't like they've disappeared from Maya Melbourne. I think we saw those photos for about 18 months. Like people going into Maya Melbourne is going, "Yep, they still have Astro train. Good." And then people are like, "Where's Blitzwing?" Well, here's Blitzwing now. So now people will be struggling to find Astro train.
Yep.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it is always the case. look, we've spent a long time talking about Legacy, but I think it's warranted because like we haven't actually had our own in-hand experience of Legacy figures until now. So I think the time that we've spent talking about them is warranted. We can move on and talk about regular news of the week, if you like. Do you feel like doing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, here's
Speaking of
Blitzwing.
which,
Yeah. Here's the news of the week. This is Prime versus Prime gets his hands on leaked figures, and I got to say, is getting better at posing the figures. So these shots that we're looking at here. These are shots that have come from his video. I'm not going to say review, but video feature on the figure. So you can see Blitzwing's tank mode, just like the G1 figure has the plane nose protruding from it in a kind of an unfortunate fashion. Little known factoid that I think if David's in here still in the chat, this came up on the Wednesday night chat in the TCCA discussion group. I think it was anyway, that apparently G1 Blitzwing was always shown the wrong way around. So this is the way that he looked in the cartoon, with the tank cannon pointing over the nose sticking out. And apparently that was meant to be the back of the tank, and the front of the tank was meant to be pointing the other way. So the tank turret was meant to point the other way. Obviously, this one's been designed to point this way because you can see like there's angles on the front of the treads and the tracks. But apparently the G1 one was a mistake that has been carried on over the years. So yeah,
interesting. Interesting. The Bumblebee movie Blitzwing / Starscream wasn't a triple changer, was it?
No, he wasn't. He only had a jet mode.
Are they just getting lazy now and going, well, that's what the G1 plane looked like, so let's not try and make it look like a real plane or anything? I think they're not getting lazy. I think they've learned their lesson that if they don't do something that's faithful, if they redesign the G1 stuff too much, then they'll get Kickback. Although Kickback was in Wave 1, but yeah, let's just say they'll get pushback. Bombshell.
Yeah. Although speaking of redesigning things, let's talk about the giant red hands that apparently ship in the box of this guy. Now, we've seen with the War for Cybertron line that Hasbro made a choice to make the leader class bots in general. The leader class bots are about Voyager sized, but they ship with extra things to justify their price points and some extra accessories. So I think the first one of these that we saw this with was Shockwave, and everyone was shocked to get him out of the box and find that the main robot was so small, and he had extra pieces that would sort of clip on to make the gun bigger and things like that. And so Voyager plus accessories is very much a theme of modern Transformers. I think this is okay because it means that the large bots are pretty much the same size, and there's also less of a gap between the Voyagers and the Deluxes as well. So I think you end up with a much more coherent looking display. So like you don't inexplicably have a giant blaster like we got in Titan's Return. You've got a blaster that's much more in scale with the rest of the figures.
Are they blast effects on his fingers just out of frame?
I think so.
CG?
No. Prime versus Prime doesn't generally do CG add-ons. I'm looking for another photo of that, but I don't think there's one.
Well, you look. It's just weird that we've come to this when, again, but going back to Prime, Season 3 Beast Hunters. All the Beast Hunters figures we got were the regular size figures. We still got our Deluxes and Voyagers, but they had lots and lots of plastic included for add-on parts, stupid anime weapons and all that sort of stuff, yet they'll still the Deluxe Voyagers and Leaders at the price point. But here they're doing the same thing, but going, well, we'll just go up the pay scale.
I guess the interesting thing with that, though, is that in those cases, they were figures that had already been designed and manufactured, and they were bolting extra parts onto them. So, like, they didn't have the extra R&D cost of making a new character. Yeah. So, and you do see them do this still these days, right? Like Ghostbusters MP10 was an MP10 with a paint job, and they designed the Ghostbusters Proton pack and the accessory stuff to clip on around the existing pieces. So yeah, they do this a bit. They do it less these days, but it's definitely still a thing that happens. I think another good example of that is probably animated Wingblade Prime, where it was just the Voyager, but with extra parts that clipped on to beef him up and make him look larger.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
no, good point.
So we talked a little bit earlier about how the gimmick for and I'm just going to go here because there's too many of these photos. Goodness me, look at them all. The gimmick for Legacy is the energon weapons, right? So these translucent red fists, I guess. Like they don't really look like fists because they've got 6 fingers, if that's the case. So they're additional weapons of
Optimus flying with his big hands out the front like that.
Yeah. It is quite that. Although this is out the back, right?
Yeah.
So the energy weapons are the energon weapons are these translucent pieces that you can combine with them in some sort of yet to be defined way from Hasbro. So there's all these pieces. So you can see actually like there is the thumb sort of does fold out there to sort of make that into a sort of kind of a hand, and it does fit over his forearms to make it a hand. But yeah, they do look weird. To the question of the blast effect that you asked earlier, there's obviously like blast effect ports at the front of the fingers. So yeah, you could just attach blast effects.
They're using a general one or something that comes with other figures.
Yeah, that's true. The Ragu Overlord says its shoulders do not move. I think he might be talking about Blitzwing's shoulders up here.
They'll rotate, but they might not have any.
Maybe the sort of he's talking about the clear parts over the shoulders. They're saying that doesn't move, so you end up rotating the arms up around in different ways. But we'll have a look at other things. So you can see, so you can sort of see there's a panel that folds if you want to move his arm forward.
Yeah.
So like there's still shoulder articulation in there, but the I think the
that way, but not
just doesn't move
that way.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just pretend that we were all looking when you said that. When you said that way and not that way. But, okay, yes.
Yep.
So he said no 360 degree range of motion. I think depending on the figure, like there's already obstructions to 360 degree range of motion on some figures. But yeah, like it looks like he's only really meant to sort of move his shoulders forward. Maybe he can move them backwards a little bit as well. Like it's just sort of like it looks like it's just sort of a piece that's over the shoulder joint in a way. You can sort of see a better look at it there. So like his shoulder can still move. So yeah, maybe he can't move it back as far, but like there's also a giant piece of tank behind him, so you can't really move that back as well.
Just another.
He says like the G2 Prime as well. G2 Prime might have a similar thing, I guess. So yeah. I reckon Blitzwing's looking pretty good. I mentioned earlier that people are going to go out to the shops and start wondering where Astro Train is. I didn't get Astro Train. I don't either. I didn't really care. I didn't care for Astro Train, and now I'm sort of like, oh, Blitzwing does look cool. At the same time, like I don't know how much of the Legacy line I'm going to collect to sort of like keep and put on my shelves on display. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I'll look at Blitzwing, but I may not go for him. We'll see. I can't believe I said that. Actually, like I didn't come in here tonight thinking I was going to say that, but yeah, I guess I'm faced with the possibility that now I need to back collect an Astro Train, and I don't think I thought that much of Siege and Earthrise Astro Train. So I'm like, I don't really feel the need to get it. But yeah, now I'm like, oh,
Well, here's the question: you're peddling these figures. Are you collecting anything in this line?
I'm peddling these figures. I import and I sell to the club members. Yeah, I peddle them. Go on. Sorry, what was the rest of the question? What was the rest of the question? I stopped and reacted to the word.
Are you collecting this line? You obviously said you didn't have the Astro Train. I didn't even see it locally.
So like, I've got some of them. Like I've got a lot of the War for Cybertron line. I guess a lot of the War for Cybertron figures very much were like, you know, sort of taken from the G1 days, and so that was sort of when I was most into, you know, Transformers in the 80s and stuff. So yeah, but some of the characters that are coming out now, like there's still a good spread of G1 figures in this lineup, but some of the characters that are coming out now, like Dragon Megatron, not going to be into. Anything like I've said on the podcast before, I don't really care for Beast Wars. Like anything Beast Warsy can kind of miss me. Like, you know, there are some good figures. Like the exception proves the rule, right? Like I've mentioned several times on the podcast how fond I am of the Kingdom Battle Across Time Air Razor remade, the Skywarp one. Just a really good figure, and I got the Pterosaur version from the Golden Disc collection as well, because like I really liked that mold, but I skipped Tigatron because like I didn't care for Tigatron, so I didn't really care for Mutant Tigatron either. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's Blitzwing. As I mentioned, Blitzwing is the Wave 2 leader, currently slated for release in July. So yeah, I think he will come out on his own. I think there's been enough people just sort of go gaga over Blitzwing. Craig Seymour says, I for one like the bot mode. I think there's more than just you that like the bot mode, Craig. I think a lot of people like the bot mode, and like he's a really good looking bot. In fact, like very much looks accurate to sort of how we expect Blitzwing to look. You know, with the sort of the big flat chest with some of the details on it, the yellow highlights, and just yeah, I think I'm happy to go with him as well.
Being a leader, I'd like to see.
Okay. I was going to say we had decent Voyager triple changes starting from Thrilling 30 to finishing in Titans Returns. Yeah, I mean we did. I wouldn't necessarily say that Blitzwing was a great triple changer in the Thrilling 30s. I had that figure and I got rid of it because I didn't really like it. But you know, I think there's always a bit of I think especially around Generations' Thrilling 30 days, there's a lot of nostalgia for it these days because figures these days are a bit smaller, but they pack more articulation. And like, you know, like this guy's got ankle tilts, he's got, you know, hip swivels, everything like that. So like, I mean, I think it's a vast overreaction to just go, well, his shoulders like his shoulder apparatus doesn't rotate, therefore he's shit. I think, you know, I like we were saying, how unlike people to you know, sort of react to things. I reckon people are going to get this guy in hand and they're going to quite like him. I think there's enough people who quite like him already that I think it's gonna be a well received figure. I think he's been a well received leak as well. Like usually Prime versus Prime's leaks come with another round of how the fuck did he get this out of the factory? blah 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 blah. These days people are just sort of like, geez, that looks good.
I'd like to see him being a leader figure next to the masterpiece Megatron, just scale wise. Obviously, he's not going to be built, and he's not as cartoon accurate as what they're doing with the masterpiece stuff. But
Prime versus Prime has been kind enough to photograph him next to a bunch of photos. It's not masterpiece Megatron, but that's premium finish Megatron, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's premium finish. So, like, you know, he is a legit, you know, Voyager-ish figure. He's actually a little bit small for a Voyager, really, if you look at it that way. But I mean, if you look at how he sort of appears in the Sunbow scale chart, this is probably accurate because Hasbro's been paying a lot of attention to relative sizes and scales in the last few years. So I would be surprised if this is I'd be surprised if this is off base.
Yep.
Peter Chi says, "Why the fist gimmick? Can you guys shed light on it?" I think we talked about it quite a bit. It's to do with the Energon weapon gimmick that is prevalent across the Legacy line. Hasbro hasn't really talked about it very much, so I mean, it's pretty obvious that like the weapons sort of combine together. So you can get the translucent axe that came with the hang on, where is it? It's on the desk here. Here we go. I'll put that right up there. So you can get the translucent axe that came with skids and other things. It's worth mentioning also that the core figures, Iguanus, Skywarp, and Hot Rod, they have weapons that you can combine as well. So there's a lot of people who are really annoyed that Skywarp doesn't come with arm cannons, which is kind of a stupid thing for Hasbro to do. But he does have part of a weapon, and so like he's got like a tuning fork, so he can tune someone's piano to death or something. And so it kind of forms the hilt to a sword. So this axe there's a couple of options. There's some 5mm ports and connectors and stuff like that on it. So the Energon weapons, they combine together and they do, they make bigger weapons, which I think as far as a line-wide gimmick goes, I find that far less offensive than forcing everyone to be a headmaster like they did in Titan's Return. I find it far less offensive than obliterating the core class and replacing it with Micromasters, which they did in Siege. So I think the Energon weapons, you can take them or leave them, and yes, it's vaguely annoying that this bumps the price point up, that these things are in the box and you have to pay a leader class price point to get a Voyager class figure with some stuff that you won't use. But it's not the first time we've done this. Like we did it with Shockwave, we did it with who else are the other leaders and stuff in the line. Notably, it doesn't happen every time. Remembering there was an inner robot, and I think Ultra Magnus had the white figure as well with the armor that sort of bolted onto him from the trailer and stuff. Like, it doesn't happen every time. Like, remember when Studio Series 86 Grimlock came out last year, we were like, oh my god, it's the first true leader class scale figure that we've had in ages. And even then, they'd packed something in the box with him as well. That stupid wheelie figure. It happens. Like, just roll with it. Like, you can. I was going to say you can guarantee that at some point someone will come up with something cool to do with the Energon fists. But really, they're very likely to just stay in the box somewhere. Like, I have all the additional parts from the I don't have Siege Shockwave. I have the Galactic Man, the Gen Selects version, but he comes with all the same parts, and so they're just in an accessories box somewhere. They're tucked away in a cupboard. They're never going to see the light of day unless there's a very specific reason for getting them out. Just accept it and enjoy the figure.
Remember when Titans Omega Supreme come out and it was a parts former? Same price as the rest of the Titans, but still.
When you say a parts former, what makes it a parts former? Is it because the pieces of the rocket or something? I don't care.
Yeah, the arms come off.
Parts forming is such a weird complaint for people to make. But yeah, oh my god, I have to remove a piece of the toy and then reattach it. Well,
that's going to get lost to time.
No, but like you'll attach them. Like they go back together in robot mode. Like it'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right, let's move on. There's a few more things to talk about. We have scans from the Figure King magazine showing the Robeson Prime. Now, we should actually point out at this point that I said point too many times. We should point out that Robeson Prime has actually come up for an official release in Australia. He is on pre-order right now at EB Games. Let me just see if I can quickly bring this up. This often doesn't work well doing these kind of things.
Just don't do a screen share.
Nah, there we go.
No.
I've figured out how to do this these days. Don't you worry. So, Robeson Prime is the auto-converting, we can't say transforming, voice-controlled robot. And a few guys have been getting this on import, and I got to say, the more people get this on import and look at it and show it off and bring it to club meetups, the more people want it. And like it's like a virus in that respect. Like I could very happily look at this last year and just go, it's too expensive. I don't need it. It's a piece of electronics. It's probably going to fail. Blah 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 blah. But I've said this to so many people, and they're just like, "Yeah, but I still want it. Like, I still want it." So I know a few people have imported it. It's been available from. You can import it into the country. It's kind of a problem because it's over $1,000, so you end up paying a bit of duty on it as well, which makes it even more expensive. But it's cheaper overseas, so whether that duty is worth it or not, I've given many people this advice, which is that if you're going to buy this, I would suggest that you buy it locally within Australia. There's a couple of reasons for this, and yes, it's warranty, and it's also Australian consumer law. Australian consumer law states that items sold must be fit for purpose, and so if you buy this, so if you import this from overseas, just say from retailer X, and they package it up and they ship it to you and it arrives and it doesn't work. What's your remedy for this? You have to ship it back to them. So you basically got to pay the shipping in reverse to get the item to them. And it's a $1,100-$1,200 item if you buy it from overseas. If you buy this locally and it's shipped to you and it doesn't work, you only have to ship it back to the store that you got it from, or you just rock up back to EB Games and go, this didn't work, whatever. They'll take it back, they'll give you a refund, or they'll give you a new one, or put you on a list for a new one, or something like that. Like, this is not a transformer. This is not a piece of plastic that's been engineered with some fold this here or fold this there. This is a piece of electronics, right? This thing is more like your iPad or your phone. Maybe it's less like your iPad or your phone because it's not got a screen, but like it's more like a high-end remote control car, right? Like there are motors, there are pistons, there are things that move in this, and it's all controlled by a Wi-Fi thing that connects to an app on your phone, right? Like there are so many more things that can go wrong with this figure than just buying an Optimus Prime transformer off the shelf. And I mean, like, that's reflected in the price, the complexity, right? Yeah. Like it's it's $50 or $80 or whatever to buy an Optimus Prime versus $1,400 for this. Do yourself a favor and make sure that you're protected in your purchase for this. And if you're going to spend $1,100 on a figure, it's worth spending $1,400 to get it locally, and just make sure that you're covered warranty wise and protection wise. And I know people will balk at that extra $300 because they can save it and spend it on other toys, but I think it's worth it for the peace of mind. Anyway, now that I've rained on everyone's parade, all the people who imported it, next week. I will also mention we have been in touch with Robeson, and Robeson's anxious to do something promo-y for this. I would say that they're not likely to give us one to give away, but they are going to send us some stuff to run as a giveaway. So that's going to happen in the next few weeks. Keep an eye out. But nice. Yeah, I'm sure. So he's on pre-order at the moment. EB says that he's due in June. So yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, would you consider purchasing?
I don't. So
you've seen it firsthand, haven't you?
No, I haven't seen it firsthand.
Oh no, no.
I know plenty of people who have, and people who've seen it recently, they're just like, Jason, as soon as you see this, you're going to want one. And I'm like, it's probably a reason I haven't seen it firsthand yet. No, for me, I think it's a step too far. I think it's cool, but I do not need one in my life. I'm happy to look at other people's and allow them to spend the money on it and not me. Having said that, the instant someone puts one up for sale in the group for about $1,000, I'll probably buy it.
Well, if it goes up in the group, it'll be $2,000. But
You never know. You never know. I mean, look,
Yeah.
what do I keep giving all this advice, and then I'm like, ultimately, just do as I say, not as I do, because like I can't guarantee that even I'm going to follow my own advice. Who knows? We'll see.
But as you said, like this, its main function is to go wah 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 wah. You imagine if one little thing in a leg or foot or ankle.
Its main function is to sound like one of the adults from the Peanuts series. Is that what it's just saying?
Just to transform up and transform down. But could you imagine if just one little thing went wrong and he transformed and his arm was still behind his back or something? It'd be very disappointing.
I mean, like you'll be heartbroken if you spent so much money on this and it broke and there's no way to actually remedy it. But yeah,
so you just put it on strings and use it as a string puppet.
Well, so I'm told that apparently when it's switched off, you can't actually move the parts around either. So it's not like it goes limp when it's turned off. It's solid.
Someone's going to try and pose it, and it's going to break.
Well, I think people have tried already and just gone, oh shit, well that doesn't move. Or I don't know if it's necessarily that it's solid. I think if you move a limb up, it'll just fall down or something. It might actually just be limp instead. But yeah, so it needs power to actually pose. So yeah, so that's Robeson Prime. It is coming to Australia. It is coming for June 2022. It'll be sort of like 8 to 10 months after its initial release over in the States and in Asia, but it is what it is. The miracle of it that it's coming here at all. People have been asking for it, and people have been can we get this here? Like I said, it's been available on import from Sugo Toys for a while, and I think their import price is actually slightly cheaper than this, but I also don't know what their after sales service is like. I'll probably get a message from someone at Sugo Toys going, "Don't talk shit about us." Like, I'm not saying that their after sales service is bad or anything, but I'm just saying it's not the local release, so I don't know whether there's any warranty from Robeson for units that have come in this way. It might be. I don't know how they're getting them. Let's go back to Figure King magazine, shall we?
Mm-hmm. So
Figure King magazine has a good spread of some of the things that this Prime can do. You can see he sort of comes packed in his. I actually didn't realize he comes packed in his truck mode, but it does make perfect sense because he's far more compact that way. But yeah, like there's exactly. It's not going to break that way. There's a good range of articulation. Good things that you can get him to do there. So like he's a very capable Optimus Prime for an auto converting robot. And there's a bit more. Excuse me while I just yawn because it is 10:30 at night. There's also a look at the upcoming Studio Series 86 Sludge, and still upcoming for Japan, Studio Series 86 Core Spike. I'm just going to take the screen share out for a minute because I do actually have Spike here in front of me. I'm just going to bring him up and hold him up to the camera there. He's got his blast effects on as well. He does comes with 2 blast effects, pretty neat. Now there is a lever in his back. I have to put it there. So see this white bit there. There's a lever there, and by moving the lever, you can turn Spike's head. Like, that is there's been so much made of head articulation in Transformers in the last few years, and it's like they even put head articulation in this guy, and they did it in a non-conventional way. I really appreciated it. So there's Studio Series 86 Core Spike.
I thought his arms were going to do power punch or something.
No, I mean you can sort of flip his arms around and do that if you want to. And I'm also sorry, I didn't realize that the screen share was not. I didn't realize that the screen share was not back up. I will also just point out. I did mention earlier that I've been a little bit naughty in terms of acquiring factory stolen figures. So I will also just point out that I do have one of the figures that's on this page, and that is Studio Series 86 Junkyard, the Wreck Gar retool and repaint there.
We're going to talk about him a little bit later.
There's actually not really that much to say about him. Like he's an impressive retool. He's impressive in just sort of how much of an extensive retool they actually gave him. They didn't need to go to that much effort with him, but it's quite good. He's got these panels on the side of his arms. He's got a different face sculpt and very different color scheme and stuff to the body. It's an impressive retool. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of attention to detail that they didn't need to go to. Ragu Overlord says that I think that Junkion has appeared in comics as well. So he's part of the 86 movie line. So like he's intended to be another Junkion from the movie, but yeah. Craig Seymour says, check your figure before purchase. Mine came with 2 left legs. Was that to do with core spike? Craig, is that what you're referring to there? Because if so, that's very difficult to check in before purchase, because these things come in they are in windowless boxes now, but like you definitely cannot see his legs in the box. Like the gap in the box only really shows his top arm, his head and shoulders. But yeah. Craig says yes, that's about Spike. Thankfully, I can definitely confirm that mine does not have 2 left legs there, which you can sort of tell by the angles on the feet. Very, very interesting. Didn't know that. I mean, look, as with anything else, if you buy a core spike and that kind of thing goes wrong, take it back to the store. Like I said, in Australia, items must be fit. Craig says you can look down the window a bit. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know if people looking down the window will be able to tell whether or not.
I think they'd be more excited. I've got it. I'm taking it home, and oh no, what is this? Given
the way people have reacted to the figure, then yes, that's fair enough. But yeah, look, if it happens, take it back to the shop. Just tell them it was faulty. They have to take it back if it's faulty, especially, and they'll either give you a refund or give you a replacement. So yeah, let's go back to this. So we've talked about the Junkion repaint. Let me just say, I think he's coming out in the next wave. Junkyard. Oh, I don't have Junkyard showing up on my. I think he shows up as Junkyard actually. He's due for release in May, and I think he's going to be repacked with Bumblebee Soundwave as well. So if you missed out on Bumblebee Soundwave, there's probably another chance to get him coming up in May as well. So other items that was coming out of there. There's also a look at the Legacy Wave 1 Deluxe figures. I definitely have those. We've talked about that a little bit. And there's also a look at the upcoming Studio Series Bumblebee figures, RC and Ironhide. Ironhide is a repaint of the Ratchet that we've already seen, which is quite well received. RC is a new figure, and she's got a really nice new sculpt, sort of interpreting RC's G1 look as sort of in the Bumblebee movieverse, and she sort of turns into a bit of a futuristic, almost like one of the light cycles from Tron as her alt mode. Looks pretty cool. RC has impressed people in early looks, and she's getting quite a lot of interest.
Yeah, they both look fantastic. Great alt modes, great pop modes.
Yeah, there's been a lot said about them. A lot of people are very fond of them. So yeah, I think that might be it for Figure King. Yeah, that's fine. So there's those there. Weird that they've only looked at 2 of the Legacy figures. They've skipped. They've skipped Skids and skipped Dragstrip. Interesting. Maybe Dragstrip's coming up in an upcoming release. I can't quite make out because it's tiny on my screen. I can't quite make out when these guys are releasing in Japan, but I think they're not too far behind the Western release. Like the Japanese release of a lot of these figures have been sort of 6 to 8 months late for the last year or so, but I think they're trying to keep pace a little bit more now. So yeah, couple of last little stories to come up. There was a couple of new red line figures were released, or not released, but announced this week. So there's red Galvatron. Very, very interesting new interpretation of Galvatron there. He's got a very wide look to his face. Makes him look almost a little bit more like a sort of a big brawny bully, I think, which is probably appropriate for Galvatron, really. But yeah, so yeah, nice. It's a really nice looking figure. However, I would also point out that the Galvatron that we got last year in Kingdom was also a really nice looking Galvatron, and I do question whether or not you really need yet another Galvatron, and this one doesn't convert as well. Oh, I said convert. There we go. And the other one which is interesting, people, for a couple of reasons, is Shockwave. Now, Shockwave also has some fairly sort of fairly beefy proportions to him as well. He's a little bit stylized, and I've seen this figure put up for comparison next to the Voyager Shockwave that came out from Siege, which people criticised because it didn't really look like the cartoon, the sort of G1 cartoon. And this guy's about the same height as him. So, like, if you got Siege Shockwave and you didn't really like it on your line, and it's not really necessary to make him transform, you could grab the red one and put him on your shelf and have a G1 cartoon style Shockwave that does not look out of place with the rest of your War for Cybertron line. Or at least doesn't look out of scale with them. But yeah. Mm-hmm. So
can you go back to Galvatron for a minute?
We certainly can.
The accessories.
How about that look at Galvatron?
Oh yeah. I just noticed the box art had him with the Matrix around his neck, and the figure didn't, but yeah, he comes with Matrix for his neck.
It looks like it might be removable. Yeah. So he's got a couple of different hand options. Got a couple of blast effects that can go on the front of his cannon, and the reformatting background. I'm really honestly weird. Not sure what's going on with that. That's some really odd color choices for that.
And size, unless it's not in proportion.
Yeah.
If that's what the backdrop of the whole package is, that doesn't look right. It's small. It's weird, but it also looks like it's not just a piece of cardboard. It looks like it's actually molded plastic as well. So. Yeah. So bend him up into a ball and pose him in front of it. So just before he goes, ah.
Yeah.
Just
so yeah, look. Couple of red figures, couple of new red figures coming out. Red is not my thing. I tried it for a little while when the figures first came out, but yeah. Yeah, no. So I should elaborate on that. Like I found that so I put red Optimus Prime next to Earthrise Optimus Prime, and Earthrise Prime was way more fun. Like you could pose him better because he doesn't have the sort of the plasticky resin joints that sort of you twist them and they twist back slightly when you finish twisting them, and so you have to sort of really press it into where you want it to go. That none of that happens with an Earthrise figure, right? Like the joints go where you want them to go, and he's easier to pose. Where I think Red has a good strength is where they do things that what they wouldn't do with the normal figures. But they've only done it once, and that's with the reformatting Megatron. And so where you take a figure and show like a different interpretation of it, you could say that reformatting Megatron was so popular in the Red line that they did the reformatting Galvatron figure as well. And so like we're sort of still stuck with this. So I mean, ostensibly this will be the third version of Megatron in the Red line. But, I mean, it is his own sculpt anyway. What I thought was interesting about this is the sculptor who was responsible for Shockwave actually put up digital renders of the work that he did for it, showing the parts that go into making this up, which very very impressive. It's for one thing, it's very impressive that like this is the amount of thought and design and efforts that's gone into it. It's also impressive that Hasbro even allows this. This guy's actually able to put this up and just go, yeah, this is the thing that I made and stuff. There is an ongoing discussion about how Hasbro credits its artists and like the people who make the box art and even the people who design the toys. There's an increasing interest, I think, from the community in which staff at Hasbro work on which staff at Hasbro work on which figures. We've seen Hasbro's design staff come out and speak to us on the Fans First Friday streams as well. Like there's definite favorites out of the Hasbro designers. Who are we going to get on the live stream this week? And the designers that come out and speak to us have said, yes, I worked on this, or I collaborated with this person on this and stuff. But none of this stuff comes through in the final product. Like these people's names aren't on their work, and like you look over at something like DC, where it's like things have Todd McFarlane's name on them all over the place, and the Marvel Legends team sort of knows the designers who are working on their products a little bit better, a little bit more than we do, and we do sort of start to get a bit of a look into. We have started to get a bit of a look into the who's who on the design team in the last year or two since we've been doing since Hasbro's been doing work from home live streams to do product launches. So I would really I'd like to see more of the people who work on these figures actually getting out and sort of existing in the community. And I know Hasbro does say, we watch everything and we see everyone's comments and stuff, but it's a very invisible presence. It's not obvious that they're actually getting in there and seeing people's comments, and they're not sort of sitting there and acknowledging those comments. They're just sort of like, we've taken that on board. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I saw this. I thought this was really, really impressive and a really interesting thing for us to actually find, sort of setting up online. Couple of last things to go on. Transformers Earthspark has a release date, or at least a release month. Paramount Plus has tweeted this week that Earthspark will premiere globally on Paramount Plus this November. Now, it is a Nickelodeon production as well, and I'm pretty sure Nickelodeon's owned by Paramount anyway, but we do know that it will be broadcast on Nickelodeon as well. So we can expect to see this next generation of Transformers coming out this November. I would expect it should be on Paramount Plus in Australia. We'll see how it goes. BotBots. Wow, we've gone so long and we haven't actually spoken about BotBots yet. BotBots was released last week on Netflix, but when I say BotBots, I mean the Netflix series. Brad, you and I have talked a little bit about BotBots tonight in the run up to the podcast. How are you liking the show?
Yeah, we don't need to go too deep into it. This is good, something different, something lighter, bit of comedy there. Obviously,
there's a good lot of comedy in the show, and it's animated cartoon comedy. So like some of it lands better than others, but there's also some parts that are really like fall down funny. And there's also some really, really nice cuts into Transformers nostalgia. You were pointing out earlier that like there's Age of Extinction toys showing up in the background and stuff.
Yeah. It just, either my son was pointing out a lot of the characters we've had in toy form probably since Dark of the Moon, whenever BotBots first started coming out, or Age of Extinction. But I'm 5 episodes in, and it's just something different. It's good to see, and good little bit of a laugh. And he's been digging through his toy box trying to find all his old BotBot figures again.
I was smart enough to put all my BotBots in a box, but I also decided I didn't really need them on display, and I don't know where the box is. I mean, I probably do know where the box is, but that's all right. Look, BotBots is the BotBots series is fun. I wouldn't say it's especially compelling, but it is fun. I've enjoyed it quite a lot. But like I said, it's not compelling. I don't feel the need to like binge the entire thing. It's just something to put on, have a bit of fun, have a bit of a laugh, and watch it. And having said that, I might go watch a couple of episodes of it after we finish here before I go to bed. It's interesting, but I also think that it's another example of like Hasbro spectacularly mistiming things, right? Because it's been what, a year and a half since we last saw any BotBots products on the shelf. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, it's been a little while.
So how is it now that they've just announced new BotBots products? So BotBots Series 6, it's been such an amount of time between between the release of the last series of BotBots and the cartoon now, and now they're announcing Series 6. So like the wacky thing of this is that the BotBots now have vehicles, which is pretty cool. It's also pretty weird. Like they're a converted slice of pizza, and also a converted video game controller sort of become their vehicles for getting around. I wonder if these are going to figure into the cartoon or not.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like they get around the mall sort of by magic in the cartoon, but Hasbro's had so long between the last series of BotBots and now when the cartoon is out. There's no BotBots on the shelf, and they're going to make us wait a year for new BotBots products. These guys are due in early 2023. Where is it? Yeah. So all of these things here say they're available spring 2023. Like, do you think
really
your son
really?
Yeah. Do you think your son's really going to be interested in BotBots when there's no new episodes coming out, but the toys suddenly reappear?
No, as I said, like he'd put the original figures away, and when he's busy doing something else and took to the second episode before I finally dragged him out here to watch it. And as soon as the intro credits come in, he was hooked. He was like a moth in front of a light. Just definitely when this stuff comes out later on, he's not going to have any interest in it whatsoever. So it's
we'll see. So we've got the Custodial Crew and Pet Mob, Hunger Hubs and Gamer Geeks, and there's I think it looks like there's another lot of 24 BotBots in Series 6. They'll be in the singles multi-packs. And there's the Ruckus Rally Raceroni and Outer Controller multi-pack. So yeah.
No, it's good. It doesn't mean it like there's no. It doesn't add any greater Transformers continuity. You watch it and you're done. That's it. You don't have to. It doesn't mean anything. To cross to the Star Wars universe, it's good not to have a Star Wars, a Skywalker movie. Just to have something else that's in the universe. It doesn't mean there's no Megatron and Optimus Prime added again. Bumblebee, beep, booping, and everything else. And
so let's talk about this. Like, how far into the series are you?
Episode 5.
Episode 5. So they are 2 episodes on Netflix.
Yeah,
you're actually on Netflix episode 5.
Yeah.
So you're ahead of me now. This hasn't been especially evident in the show so far, but in the opening credits it says like an energon cloud hit the mall and created us all, right? And so there's definitely like energon on planet Earth, which means that there's Cybertronians. And so, but these BotBots are not aligned to Autobots or Decepticon factions. They're aligned more to their tribes, according to where they were created within the mall. And my understanding from things that I read, but it hasn't really been evident in the show that I've watched so far, is that the Autobots and Decepticons war is depicted more in the BotBots universe by way of like their TV programs, their cartoons or comics that the BotBots see dotted around the mall, rather than actually being like a big interplanetary Cybertronian war that they happen to be a part of. Has that become evident in the series that you've been watching yet?
Not that I've noticed, but I'm going to pay more attention to it now.
Yeah,
as I said before, there's some movie references in there, but
yeah. I feel like if that's the case, it might only come into like a couple of episodes here or there. It is worth noting, however, that among the new BotBots that have been announced, there's one BotBot that everyone's going to want.
the poo emoji.
Not the although yeah, fair enough. It's two bots that everyone's going to want. And I can't see him in any of the thumbnails here very obviously. There he is, just at the bottom of this one. There is an Autobot faction symbol.
Huh.
So he's going to be the one bot that everyone's going to want because they'll just display him in Autobot mode or whatever. But it does sort of it doesn't mean at some point there has to be a Decepticon.
Yeah, what was he in the mall to be an Autobot symbol?
Don't know if I don't know if that's really the case. And yeah, there's someone has actually guessed it as before the stream caught up to them. But yes, the Autobot icon definitely everyone wants. Yeah. I want that one. Yeah. Some of the go.
I was just going to say, not to nitpick the cartoon because it's a cartoon and everything else, but there is a continuing fashion of the human character attempting or nearing eating some of the bots. If they're taken after real food, is it possible for that said food to be eaten? Or... It's
interesting, right? It's not entirely clear what the bots are made of. Like in the cartoon, there's an episode fairly early on where Burgertron launches himself into the vending machine, like trying to hit the buttons. And every time he hits the vending machine, like pieces of tomato and lettuce and tomato sauce fly off him. So like the implication is that he's a sentient burger rather than a piece of Cybertronian metal. This raises so many questions about bots. And I'm not entirely sure that the series is really willing to answer these. There is also it's been pointed out by a couple of people online. Let me see if I can.
Well, while you're looking for that, I was just going to say at the end of that episode too, human character drops a muffin into said spoiled food that hit the vending machine. Next minute, it's got tomato sauce and tomato and that on, and he eats it, and the wrapper as well. Anyway, yeah.
So he's eaten part of Burgertron, like in some way. Yeah. So the other thing that's kind of creepy about this, right, is that we know that the plot of the cartoon is that the Energon cloud hit them all and brought all of these inanimate objects to life as Transformers. It also appears to have affected animals because this one's a rat that has a robot form. There is a serpent here as well, and there is also a crazy cat lady. If I can find her.
Oh no!
People have drawn a lot of attention to the crazy cat lady, and I can't necessarily find her in here.
She's been scrubbed from existence.
But the implication is that it's a cat that turns into a crazy cat lady, and I can't find it.
I've crazy theory time. This was obviously in production when they knew they were going to push Age of the Beast, Rise of the Beast, whatever it is, back.
The movie, yeah.
Yeah, what's the possibility that some Energon fart cloud is what creates the Terracons or whatever in Machu Picchu?
An Energon fart cloud hits Machu Picchu. That's you know what? I think you've actually described the plot of the Asylum version of the next Transformers movie. Like it'll be the next Transmorphers movie, actually.
Well, if we're gonna
wait. Message for the Asylum person who comes along because we mention them. Call us. You know, we can work out a deal. Okay.
Well,
the Energon fart cloud. Oh man, we don't actually still do titles for our episodes, do we?
No, we can, but no.
Yeah, maybe we should. This is the Energon fart cloud.
I'm just wondering if we're going to combine or connect the movies. This one's supposed to be mid 80s to early 90s after Bumblebee was 80s.
Yeah, that's Rise of the Beast is meant to be 90s, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're sort of post Chernobyl, where we know Chernobyl was caused by the heart of the Ark, power core of the Ark exploding, sending that Energon fart cloud into the air
across Europe.
It just
so he's saying season 2 is going to be Bot's European vacation.
Well, what's the chance that this Energon cloud is going to also have something to do with the new movie?
Oh man,
I
you know,
don't.
I kind
don't
of
wanna connect
hope
it.
it's not. I kind of
No,
hope it's
yeah.
not. I feel like it. I feel like it's just something that they came up with as like an explanation for how this has happened. But like the implication is still that, you know, like, because Energon is on Earth, you know, Cybertronians are on Earth and fighting here. So maybe, but I also think like it's unnecessary to actually link them like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I really hope that no one actually feels the need to. Like, it's like this. It's like this need of people to like fill in gaps in stories that don't need to be filled in. Like, we don't need to know where the Energon Cloud came from.
I just want to see someone in production, showrunner, whoever, comes out and says they were a fan of Maximum Overdrive and that's where it come from, and that's just they tied that into Transformers, and that's why we have bots and not.
That is a deep cut, my friend. But I also hope that we get it. I'm gonna rush to the end now because like we haven't gone for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I appreciated you added this into the run sheet for me. Symbiote Studios has announced another run of pins. You see how this goes, right? Like, you add stories to the sheet for me because they're pins, and I will happily talk about them. You add stories to the sheet for yourself, as in statues, and I will mock them.
There were two. I didn't add them.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate it. So yeah, bunch of new pins from Symbiote Studios. I think they're up for pre-order now. I've got some of their older ones. I don't think I've actually put them up yet. But you know what my rule is? If I see a Transformers pin, I will buy it. Actually, that actually figures into acquisitions, which we will talk about very quickly. Other stuff very quickly. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I will recite a speech that was given at the Hasbro Ignite event, and we can dissect it a little bit, but we don't need to go into it too much. Hasbro has confirmed that it is set in the Bumblebee universe, which we also know is it's a far cloud. They've confirmed it's set in the Bumblebee universe, which we know is not incongruous with the Bay movies that came before it. But so Hasbro says we're partnering with blah and blah, and a visionary new director, which you know is Stephen Capel Jr. He's now a visionary new director, to bring to life a Transformers story like you've never seen. We have never seen it. You haven't produced the movie yet. The film will pick up after the events of 2018's Bumblebee and follows Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and an unlikely team of humans who are joined by a group of powerful new allies, the Transformers Beasts. So they're calling them the Transformers Beasts as a sort of like a separate thing. The introduction of Beast characters will be a significant moment for all, from kids to core fans, and especially those who grew up with Beast Wars in the 90s. Transformers Rise of the Beasts raises the stakes. It was spelled stakes as an S-T-A-K-E-S, but with Beasts there could be stakes as an edible, and set us up for what's to come over the next few years in our film franchise. Now that last bit is important because there's going to be groundwork laid for what's to come in the franchise here, and we are looking at new artwork that was released as in here, which is strictly confidential. Thank you, Hasbro, for letting us have it. The Transformers Rise of the Beast logo, which we're familiar with, but on a new sort of Aztec-y, Machu Picchu, Energon fart cloudy background. The
clouds there.
Yeah, it's a fun little sort of thing. You know, like this could just be a backdrop on which they could put a PowerPoint presentation, which they kind of have. Interesting. I could see this sort of being a bit of a theatre standee or something as well. But it does also give the date in theatres June 9th, 2023. So it's a year and a couple of months away. So there we go. That is. I think that's about it.
I was going to say, I think they're going the wrong way about it, but we'll see what happens.
What do you mean they're going the wrong way? What way should they go?
Just don't plan any Transformers movie media for a good 5 years, or I suppose it has been 5 years now.
It has been a while.
Just
like people have forgotten how shit the last one was. Let's give them another one.
Yeah, you can't keep differentiating them from.
Wait, the last one wasn't shit. The last one was Bumblebee. I was thinking last night. So I've even forgotten Bumblebee.
Yeah, the shit one.
Okay. Oh.
It just everyone, they want that first 2 minutes of the movie. Just lock four ILM guys in a computer room and just make an animated off that CG battle, and do that.
Well,
And
so
don't have any
we-
humans. Just do it.
There is an animated movie coming that is set on Cybertron that we think is likely to be based on that 2 minutes of animation. Yeah, you said 4 minutes. It's not even that. It's like the tiniest sliver.
I said
Oh,
two.
did you say
It's
two? Yeah.
bugger all. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you said 4 ILM guys. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not what I want, but the general fan community, that's the only thing they like about Bumblebee. That's what they see when you say Bumblebee.
It is funny. Like Hasbro's really leaning into that 2 minutes of CGI, which like I said several times, like we knew that this was going to be the case. Like they don't spend that much money on 2 minutes of CGI footage not to make toys of those figures, right? They're definitely.
Yeah, we just talked 2 hours about figures coming out of that 2 minutes of film. Yeah. So yeah, like right. So I think we're done with news. There was more news, but we've been going on for quite a while. So I think it's time. I think it's time that we talk for 2 hours.
I know, right? I think it's time that we bring things to a bit of a close. Very briefly, so I've spoken a bit about acquisitions. Do you want to talk about your acquisitions?
Yeah. Well, quickly, I got 2. So in at my local Target that does still exist.
Oh, wait a second.
You went to you and not me.
I've messed that up. That hasn't gone well. There we go. Ta-da!
Core class Ravage, core class, Legend size, whatever you want to do.
He's pretty nice, isn't he?
He's a nice detail figure. Good paint on it. Good posability until you're trying to put him in a cassette mode. But
I'm not sure how you meant to pose a cassette, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that too. Thank you, Hasbro. Not since Chug Sandstorm have we been able to have a cripple former. And Rekgar ran mode into his wheelchair. Haven't been able to do that since Chug Sandstorm. So very grateful.
I have legitimately not seen this.
I don't know. I don't think anyone has. I posted photos back in 08, 09, whenever that Chug.
Oh no, I haven't seen this with the Studio Series Rekgar. This is cool. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, no, he's got his wheelchair mode, so stand him up straight and not make him look so desperate. Great looking figure. It's G1 Rekgar. Size scale is going to be an issue, but he'll be going up on my masterpiece shelf until I can get a stand-in for him, masterpiece scale. But good looking figure. So definitely.
You haven't thought of getting one of the KFC masterpiece figures?
Space issues, financial issues at the moment. Yeah, there's a list.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's a couple of those that are on a watch list and that. So
I have the KFC Junkions from their first release, and then a couple of years ago they were like, we've got 6 more. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not buying 6 of these. But I'm like, right, I have Rekgar, and if anything, the fact that there's now a shitload of KFC Masterpiece Junkions now sort of makes me just go, right, Dump Yard, which is the other one. I was like, yeah, you can come off the shelf. I kind of don't need you anymore. So yeah, if anything, it sent me the other way.
Yeah, and that's one of the good things too about just sort of sitting back and waiting for a little bit, because, as you know, one third-party company gets onto a figure, the other rest get onto it as well, and it's just, you can sort of sit back, watch who's actually going to get their figure to retail to release, and make up your mind which one's the better looking figure and that for yourself.
That's true. I have a couple of acquisitions, astonishingly, that we haven't talked about.
That you're not selling off, peddling?
No, I'm not peddling these guys. I do want to call it. So these are actually third parties. We've spent a long time. Talking about official figures, and I very rarely talk about third parties and stuff.
First, I do getting production samples. Now you're getting third party. What will Hasbro think?
So I've got the X Transbots Perceptor Jansen here. He is heavy as fuck. He's very much like a Fans Toys product in his weight and his heft and his metal. You can see the metallic paint and stuff on him. Fantastic. He really does remind me of a Fans Toys product more than an X Transbots product. I'm not actually sure how many X-Transbots products I have. I don't have that many X-Transbots products, but yeah. And
just in that pose, I think he needs a cape. He's very gunslinger
maybe,
sort of
yes.
Mando.
Yeah. And I do have, don't worry, I do have a Fans Toys figure as well. It's their Huffer, and he's called Rig. Much That's better than people thought when he was revealed. Like, his proportions are pretty nice. His arms are, sort of the odd cylindrical sort of thing, which makes them a little bit funny, but they are very sort of cartoon and cartoon accurate and accurate to his G1 appearance. He does have a little large backpack on the back end, but it doesn't really affect his posability. So, very, 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 very happy with both of those.
That's
guys.
just nature of the beast. There's no getting away from that cab being on their back, no matter who ought make it. You can't collapse down or anything. It's the character.
I'm going to flash two more things, and then I'm done.
Leave your hat on.
I don't. So I mentioned like I've done this twice in terms of like buying factory stolen figures, and I'm kind of done with it. I don't really feel the need to do it anymore. It was a fun thing to play around with. So there is a Legacy Night Prowler. He's just been released in Asia last week, so the retail version of this figure is on his way to me already. And there is a Legacy Buzzsaw, the Waspinator repaint as well. So yeah, like I've had these guys for a while. Like I'm not really into the beasts, but I just got them as a thing to look at, and it's very interesting. So the acquisition of leaked figures was very straightforward. I buy things off Carousel in Singapore all the time. And I found a seller selling these in Singapore. The guys offered me Sludge and something else already, and like I don't care. Sludge is out next month. I don't need a leaked version of it. Like it's whatever. And also because I do think that they're factory reject ones, like I'd rather have the retail ones. Their prices were about $5 more than you would pay for retail, which for the Legacy Deluxes, I thought that was okay to get them, sort of a couple of months in advance. But like other stuff, like I don't care. I don't need these things. I don't need these things far in advance. I'm certainly not going to try and get like a ton of YouTube hits for them or anything.
Yeah, and as you said before, just the quality, you're most likely going to have to buy it again retail anyway when it gets here. So why not just wait until it gets here and not?
At least with those ones, like they're beasts, I don't care. Like I don't need the retail ones for those. The Legacy Deluxes, I'm in two minds about. Like they're okay as they are. Like I probably don't need to buy the retail ones for them either. But yeah, but like if you had purchased the factory leak ones and you wanted like the better retail release, you'd have to buy them again. So yeah.
Yep.
Look, I think we're done. There's like we're running dangerously close to 2 hours, so I'm sorry. This is going to be really kind of shit to edit for you, but at least I don't think there's any gaffes in the middle of it for once. So like I didn't like explode or anything. So hopefully it's not too tough of an edit. I will just point out in terms of club news, the TCCA has been very quiet from a fundraising perspective for a while. Good Friday is coming up, and we are going to organise a Good Friday appeal fundraiser. We have some prizes that have been donated, and so we're going to put some things up probably in the next couple of days. It'll be an all donations, and all money raised goes straight to the Good Friday appeal because the prizes have been donated. So every dollar in will go out. We will also be making a sizable donation to the Good Friday appeal based on club revenue, and also from the figure imports from myself, because I levy a $2 charge on every figure that I supply for everyone, and that money's about to go to the Good Friday appeal this month. It is now April, so yeah.
Nice.
That's it. That's a little bit of upcoming stuff for the club. I think we're done. Do we have anything else that we need to discuss before we finish? We might be able to just sneak in.
That's it.
Oh,
no,
we're done.
You got a minute.
No. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you're watching along with the live recording, several of you have been. Thank you for checking us out. Thank you for putting in your comments as well. You will find out more about these stories and more. Link to them in the show notes. You can find the podcast website at transformersweekly.podbean.com. Brad and myself are also active in the Transformers Collectors Club Australia group on Facebook. TCCA is a registered club in Victoria run by volunteers donating their time, effort, energy, and sometimes even money, as we all well know, to make collecting in Australia better for everyone, and more fun. Our goal is to build the Australian Transformers collecting community by engaging fans around the country. We make content like this podcast. We attend live in-person events like Oz Comic Con, and we run Facebook's largest dedicated. Actually, you know what? We run Australia's largest dedicated Transformers discussion and sales communities. I'm going to update that in the run sheet. You can find out more information about the benefits of TCCA club membership and how to show your support for what we do at transformerscca.com. That is it for us. I'm not going to say that we're going to be back next week, but we do want to try to do the podcast more often, as we've sort of promised people by the name Australian Transformers Weekly. And that means that you might get more episodes where it's just 2 of us instead of 3 of us, because scheduling people as Australia comes out of its pandemic sleepiness is kind of difficult, because people want to go out on their Friday night. So some weeks it might even just be Brad and myself. Some weeks it might just be 2 of us. We'll see what happens, but. Hopefully people enjoy listening and enjoy the content that we make. So, yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully we get one more out before the Easter long weekend. So,
that would be nice. Yeah, April 8th. Let's see how we go. Oh, in fact, you know what? Next week I'll have more Legacy Transformers to talk about anyway. I'll have them.
Good, because we might not have much more news.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we will be back with more of Transformers content in the fullness of time.
See you guys.